Congratulations, you're going to retire in less than 1 year. The train has left the station.
We are excited for you. And today we're going to focus on the last 12 months before you walk out the door.
But before you watch this video, make sure you've seen the prior 2 videos in this series. This is video 3 in a series of 3. The first one was 5 to 10 years out. The second one was 1 to 5 years out. And this is your last 12 months.
So I'm confused. Is this video 1, 2, or 3?
3.
3. Here we go. You know, your emotions may be a mix of excitement, anticipation, and anxiety and stress, or maybe even fear. What am I going to do when I walk out this door?
So remember, in videos 1 and 2, we gave you key strategies and action items to bring to this point. So make sure you have them in line.
Today we're going to give you some steps to take that should ease the stress and build on the excitement.
We want you to be fully prepared for some of the key risks and feelings that are going to come to you. And they're ones we talk a lot about in our community. The first one is the feeling of being irrelevant. And you may feel that already. As soon as you announce a retirement date, you may feel, and you will be, replaced.
That happened to me. I announced my stepping down as the office leader 2 years before I left. And the next day, the next Monday, where for 38 years I was leading the weekly leadership team meeting, I wasn't even invited. I'd walk past and everyone's looking at me. They don't even wave at me. So it is a real feeling that you're either going to get or you might have now. So maybe you can relate to that.
So that feeling of irrelevance leads to a loss of identity. And we talk a lot about that risk as well. When people ask you, what do you do? Who do you work for? What's your email address? What do you stand for? A lot of it over the years had to do with your company and your corporate career.
The other risk really is time affluence. And it's not always a risk, but we have a YouTube video we did on this. The link will be below. But you're going to get 40 plus hours of free time to come your way. And I really abused this in my last 2 years of work. Because I was semi-retired, I actually started coming in late and going home early. And
how early did you get home?
Well, you were still working and I wasn't. But honestly, I would 2 o'clock look at my desk. Emails were done. I had nothing to do. I'd go home and I'd start watching TV. I got addicted to Ellen.
And I think red wine.
And red wine.
Afternoon red wine.
So I was going down a bad path using this time affluence poorly.
Right. Right. And the last of the risks that we want to make sure that you're aware of and that you address and that you hit head on is this idea of loss of community. This can be rough for so many people. Your work often becomes your family. Your work often becomes your friends, your best friends. And how do you replace those relationships when you move into retirement?
So today what we're going to do is we've created a checklist. A checklist to think about for the next 12 months. And it has 3 parts. There's a link down below. It'll be sitting on our website. And we are going to update it as we see fit because it is a fluid process. The more we learn, the more we can put in. But there's 3 parts. The first part is career work related. The second part is a personal checklist. And then the last part is kind of fun, your first week at home. So on the career, the first thing, you need to have a meeting with HR. And you need to talk about your pension, your 401k, your health insurance, COBRA. And if your company has outboarding support, you should probably use it.
And that's where a lot of structure will start to happen for you in this last 12 months, getting deep understanding of these areas. The next thing in your career transition, you do need to talk to your colleagues. You need to talk about your transition and your replacement and how you can help make that seamless. Your leadership team, I know I spent a lot of time with my leadership team before I left. I not only notified them individually, but I spent time making sure they were set for success after I was gone. And then there's, of course, your teammates and all of your clients.
There's a lot of people that you need to have a process to, I don't want to use the word disassociate, but have a transition.
Right.
You know, are they going to be part of your life in retirement or not?
And
it's funny.
Still, while under this career umbrella, you have to think about how you're going to communicate with these people after you leave.
I remember my last day, I wrote this great email on my corporate email, and I sent everyone a note and how grateful I was in 38 years, and I hope you all do well, and here's my personal email in case anyone wants to contact me. And all week long I waited and waited and waited and waited.
Are you still waiting?
No, I got one email back. And it's not a reflection of who I am, it's just that when you're gone, you're gone.
Right.
But the other thing around identity and email is there was a bit of a blend for me between my career and my job, my personal life, because I owned the company.
Well, and that does happen with
it.
privately held companies, especially ones that you own. Mine was corporate, so it wasn't as much of a blend.
But here's the thing to think about. As I started to get near the end of my time there, I realized that I had my browser was at work for all my bookmarks. My login email was my work email. My passwords were all saved somewhere. So you've got to get all of that into your personal email. And some people don't even have a personal email when they retire. So you need to have a Gmail or something like that and start moving all of that out. I will tell you, when you walk out the door, it's hard to get back in to get access to anything.
Right. And communication is one of the other components of this, internal and external. You need to really start to make a list of the people you want to stay in touch with. And something I didn't do very appropriately, you have to give people a chance to say goodbye. When I left my career after 33 years, I didn't want to party.
Right.
I didn't want all the people coming to pay homage. I figured I would stay in touch with who I wanted to, but I didn't see it from the other perspective. You do have to give people a chance to say goodbye.
Now, depending upon what you're going to do after you leave, are you going to have another job, a second career, whatever? You might want to gather up some of your historical records, some of your presentations, some of your work product. You might want to update your resume. You might want letters of recommendation, because you can use all of this to parlay into a consulting job or a coaching job or something like that. So you really want to think about doing that. And the sooner you do that, the better, obviously.
And don't forget, you still have 1 year that you're working. So look for opportunities to mentor others and help your colleagues with any promotions or any confidences that they need after you're gone.
Okay, so that's the career work part. And again, this is going to live on our website. But the second part of the checklist is a personal checklist. So we've talked about this in all 3 videos. You should by now have a financial planner in place, an independent advisor who can help you make some decisions and gather together your financial information. We are so surprised at how many of the clients that we meet with who are married with kids and retire, no wills, nothing. This is a great time to get that done. So you leave work and you have all of that organized.
You know, and then on a more personal note, you need to notify your family of your date, when you're leaving, what your plans are, and especially make the time to get in alignment with your spouse. Make sure you know what their plans are and how you fit in and how they fit into yours. Be aware of how your retirement is going to affect the people around you.
So let's talk about that for a second, because that's really important. There are so many couples that have wonderful relationships. They both work. They both have work friends. They're busy all day long. They meet for dinner. They're together on weekends. And all of a sudden, they're thrown in together. And they don't know what to do. They don't know how to interact, 8 hours a day. Or maybe one of you's retiring earlier. Or maybe one of you's been retired for 10 years, and, if Jody had retired 10 years earlier than I show up, she's got her stuff together.
Well, like my mom always said, I loved you forever, but not for lunch.
Right. So this is an important area, and again, in our online course, we have a lot of tools and strategies to help with this. But don't take this lightly. We've mentioned this in all 3 of our videos.
Make sure you share your retirement plans with others and your friends and a group that may also have retired ahead of you, colleagues and friends that you know that can help support you through this transition.
Now, one of the things you might want to consider,
We had a client consider this.
is a gap year.
Yeah.
Now, we have a client who said, you know what, I've owned this company, I'm a second generation owner, I'm financially set, I don't need to work right now, but I made a deal with my wife that I'm going to take a gap year. And the big thing is I promised her I would say no to any opportunities that came along for a whole year.
Right.
And that gave them a chance to just kind of hang out and get
Find
a
their
little
rhythm.
fluid, find a rhythm.
Right.
And it worked really well.
Yep.
But the one thing you can do is you can volunteer. You know, that's give you something, you know, an hour a week, 2 hours a week, something just to keep you somewhat active.
And the last part of the checklist is kind of fun. Prepare for your first week at home. Start thinking about routines that will serve you during that first week and give you energy. Don't just let the day unfold. Enjoy some downtime
Right.
and definitely the freedom, but don't squander the time.
There is this great feeling of freedom that comes and this relief of not having to go to work and not having meetings and not having planning and not looking at financials. But the thing is, all of a sudden now you're not really sure what to do. So if you did the planning we mentioned in the first 2 videos, you should really have a plan for the 5 pillars: physical wellness, mental wellness, relationships, spouse, partner, and wisdom sharing, and community. So you should have that so you have an idea. But one of the things you could do to keep busy, I did this because I'm a handy guy, I made a list of the home repairs that I've ignored.
Right.
And I still haven't done any of them.
And the other thing you
Have I?
can do, well, you've done some, not all, but the other thing you can do is put some placeholders on your calendar. You know, look at what a beginning of a routine could look like for you. You know, coffee with a friend weekly on a Monday, you know, some sort of activity, physical activity Tuesday and Thursday. You know, maybe you can have a golf date or take some self-care on Fridays. You know, find a way to incorporate a little bit of routine.
2 things that we did. We all of a sudden put self-care in front. We started to take care of ourselves, and that's eating right, working out, and all of that, and massages, whatever it might be. But the other thing is a morning routine. Mm-hmm. Now, we've worked on this for 4 years now. Our morning routine is dialed in. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't work at first. It was hard. But we both get up very early. Jody's in the yoga studio, I'm in the gym, I meditate, I journal, I try to watch the sunrise wherever I am. We get back together, we have coffee, but the morning routine, by the time it's 9 o'clock, we both have been up for probably 3 hours, sometimes 4, and nothing can go wrong in the day.
Right.
Because we've figured it all out.
It's really all about anchoring some things
Right.
on your calendar, knocking out some things during the day, even if it's as easy as going to the bookstore and buying a few books.
Right.
You know, finding some time to research things like trips or places to volunteer or new things to learn at a local community college. Find ways to anchor time on your calendar that first week so it doesn't go by in a blur.
Before you know it, you'll be 3 years into it and haven't quite figured it out yet. Now, this last year at work, it's going to fly. It's going to fly by. We want you to do all you can to be ready for the last day.
If you follow our advice in these 3 videos, you will have clarity, purpose, momentum, and direction, and you'll land softly into this phase of your life.
We hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, please share with your friends so that they get the benefit of what we talked about today. But also subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below.
And finally, join our free Facebook community. The link is also in the notes below.
Thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to being with you again soon.